Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. They'll be talking about this year's Common Reader. My guest today is Associate Provost and Dean of First Year Studies, Hal Fulmer. Hal, thanks for joining me today.
Aaron, good to be back.
And as I mentioned, the Common Reader, this is a part of Troy University's, quality enhancement program, right, to get students to read more. And tell us about how this all came about, why we have a Common Reader here on campus.
Sure. We're in the midst of a 5-year run with our quality enhancement plan. That's driven by our SACS accreditation, and our plan is to create a culture of engaged reading. Part of that is what we call a Common Reader, which is really a book that all entering students will read. And we were doing it a little bit on the Troy campus before we moved into the QEP. Since we've moved into the QEP, it's all of Troy University. And so we're really, if you count the Troy campus years, we're up to our 6th year of entering students reading and talking about a book, which is really nice. Really makes a statement to them coming in. Welcome to college. We're going to have a different way of talking and reading and thinking about ideas.
And of course, the first thing when people think of a book, it's like, well, this is going to be for English classes only. But that's not true. Your goal is to find books that can go across the curriculum, correct?
Absolutely. And we feature the book in Troy 1101 because we know all of our entering students are going to take that orientation class sometime in their first year. But we try to select books that a variety of disciplines would use. And over the years, we've been real fortunate, not just English, history, biology, psychology, other disciplines will pick that up and use it a lot in general studies, not exclusively, but a lot in those first 2 years of study.
And of course, this year's book, I've got a copy of it right here, The Ghost Map by Stephen Johnson. Tell us a little about this book and what this is all about.
This is a great read. This is a story of the worst cholera epidemic in London's history. Happened in the 1850s. And London is really in the news right now. We had the Queen's Jubilee celebration. We've got the Olympics. The Royals are always in the news. And so in the 1850s, they had a terrible cholera outbreak. And what happened was really the city had grown so much and they hadn't really managed themselves well. And they didn't understand germs the way we do today. In fact, they thought you got sick from smelling bad air, What happens is you have a maverick doctor. I mean, he's really kind of out of sync with his own time, who begins to chart where the people are dying. And he begins to realize there's got to be a common source. And he tracks it to a particular well in Soho. Everybody gets their water from the town pump. And he begins to understand that's the source. And of course, everybody else is sort of saying that's not where germs come from. The water tastes good, it looks good. He says, I don't know why, but that's the problem. And he gets the city fathers eventually to take the handle off the pump, and people quit dying. So it's a great read about health issues, epidemics, environmental issues, even issues that deal with big cities, international cities. And I would put not only international cities abroad, but international large cities in our own country. You look at some of the issues in places like New York, and they're running out of places to put the garbage because there's so much of it. So we think it's going to cut across. We've had history profs already tell us they're going to use it. Psych profs have already said they're going to use it. We're going to use it in Troy 1101.
And of course, when I first heard about it, I was thinking that this is some sort of Michael Crichton CSI kind of thing when I first heard it, and thought it was a work of fiction until you told me otherwise.
Right. It really is. It really is a historical account of what happened, but it's going to read like Crichton. It's going to read like CSI because you've got this doctor really racing to figure out why these people are dying, and he deals with some really interesting cases. There's some people who are outside of Soho who die. And he finds out they like to go down and drink out of the pump, see? And so, I think our students are going to enjoy it.
And how important is it to select a book that we talked about that goes across curricula and different professors want to use it? How important is it to pick something that has that aspect to it? Not just a good work, but something that can be used in multiple facets of the university.
The goal of being an engaged reader is not just that we read a book and it goes on the shelf or we read it in a class, but we read that book and we talk about it and we think about the ideas. And that may lead us into reading a second book or talking about another work. And eventually what it means to be educated is we understand there are a lot of points of information out there, and there are a lot of things that connect that. And so connecting the dots is a big part of what we do. So picking one that connects the dots across discipline is a real step towards saying to the students what it means to be educated is to see the big picture.
And of course, the book is available. They can get their hands on it. But one of the things is you picked a book that has accessibility to those who use e-readers and want to get out of the actual hard copy of a book. How important was that for you guys?
Well, this year for the very first time, that was one of the final criteria that we used to determine the book. We wanted to make sure that the book we picked was available in all the various e-book categories that are out there right now, because a lot of people are reading that way, and the goal is to read, whether it's paperback or Kindle or Nook or tablet or hardback or what have you.
And so, so right now, I guess we're looking at the Ghost Map, the Common Reader, and hopefully students will be picking up a copy of this and checking it out throughout the next school year. I want to thank you for joining today to tell us a little about this year's book.
Glad to be here, and we're looking forward to talking about it all year.